I've had a very great privilege in life, and that is that I've been a personal friend and sometimes assistant to one of the world's wealthiest and most generous men. And most of all of what I have learned from this relationship is that you cannot address a large social global problem through money alone. Because no matter how much money you have, charity and philanthropy alone will not deal with the problem. Now, I've always thought that creating a business that addresses a social ill, is actually the way to do things. Because a for-profit, sustainable business can have scale. And scale is what you need, and scale is what you want. So I've always believed that education underpins all social progress. And as we all know, education hasn't always been accessible to everyone. What if we could create a business model that would allow all education to be free? What if we created a business model that would allow all certification and validation of that learning to be free? Well, I think we could change the world of education. In fact, I think we could change the world. Now, in the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you what I've been doing since 2007, which is creating a company called ALISON, which has been doing that to some success. But what I'm going to do, rather than just talk about ALISON itself, I'm going to talk to you about the concepts behind ALISON. How can this happen? And how can this work? So my first slide is just simply to look at our learners. We have learners in every country in the world. As of this morning, we've just over 2.1 million learners on ALISON. We've over 300,000 graduates. How can these people learn for free all around the world? How can they certify and validate their learning all around the world? Well, it's very clear how we do it to somebody who studies our website, but let me share it with you as we're one-to-one. So the first thing is advertising. That is essentially how we allow all learning to be free online. Now, I have a mischievous figure of Che Guevara there as a gorilla. But in some ways, advertising is a gorilla. And it is a revolutionary. If we think back to the development of radio, of TV, of even Facebook or Google that we use every day, it's all funded by advertising. Why can't advertising be applied to education? It's in it already. The second point I want to make about advertising is that this is very, very equitable. The point is that when someone is studying on ALISON in California and they click on an ad, that's actually worth something to us. When somebody's in Zimbabwe and they're learning the exact same thing and they click on an ad, it's not worth so much. But through the advertising model, the developed world can subsidize the developing world. And it works every day in every country around the world. The third thing I'll say is, for those of you that are familiar with internet companies, the word sticky is very important. Sticky means that people spend a lot of time on the website. The average learner on ALISON spends 40 minutes. Now that's nirvana for those people that are in consumer internet. It means that if people are on, they'll click an ad at some stage. And because once digital content is created, the marginal cost of providing it to another person is next to zero. So if you make anything at all, you're pretty much ahead. And the last point I'll make about advertising is that companies like Facebook and Google know more and more and more about all and each of every one of us every day. What does that mean to you and I? It means actually that they can provide us with more valuable product all the time. And this is going to continue. And it's going to get they're going to be able to provide extraordinary services and education to us, because that's what we're doing, educational and related products to us as time goes on. So I see advertising being developed more and more within education, and we can even expect more than we have today. But training alone isn't useful. You need validation, you need certification. So how can that be done? Well, the point is, I have a question to ask you. When an employer is interviewing somebody for a job, what are they really interested in knowing? They're interested in two things. One is that you have the skills that's required on the Monday morning when you start your job. The second thing is that they can validate in some ways that you actually know the stuff. What do they not ask for? They really don't care how long it took you to acquire those skills. They really don't care where you got those skills. And they don't care what it cost you. They just want to know that you have those skills. Well, the beauty of the internet and the beauty of the ubiquity of the internet is that we can test anyone on anything, anywhere, anytime. And that's what we're doing. And it works very simply. Just like if you went into an employer 30 years ago and you said you could type 50 words per minute, I would say to you, great, sit down and type. So I could see how fast you went, and I could see what the quality of your typing. If you do a certification on ALISON, and you say that I've done fundamentals in financial accounting, I'd say that's great, he knows about numbers. Let's test him. So I can sit him down. And the beauty about the internet is that, and tests generally, is that I can test him on anything. I can test him on a laptop, I can test him on a desktop computer. Take out your iPhone, you can test him on that. All you need is to have the assessments queued. And you need the assessments queued for whatever subject it is. And those subjects can be limitless. So the truth is you can test anyone on anything, anywhere, anytime, forevermore. Think of the profound impact that can have on education. So in some ways, one thing about learning today is that there is an explosion of knowledge all around the world. People are creating courses on stuff that there was never courses written on before. And it's available on the web. Every one of us can access it. But one way to look at how ALISON works it is that YouTube is actually the leading provider of learning all around the world. In fact, there's no one near it. When people want to learn something, they put on a quick video. But the problem with that is that you don't really know who the publisher is. You don't know how long the video is. You don't know what quality it is. You don't know what level the learning is at. So it's unstructured. So what ALISON does is actually add structure to that. We make sure that there's good publishers, that they're verifiable. We allow you to track the progress. We set the standard. So adding structure to all of this informal learning can open learning, the world of learning, to so many people around the world. So informal learning, the wonderful thing about it is that it has scale. And the current system of educating people around the world does not have scale. It's very, very expensive. It educates too few people. And it's very, very slow. If you take a new area of knowledge and you wait for a university to certify it, it takes years. But really, that course should be ready, up, out, verified, and people should be studying it the next day. Because if you can do that, you release enormous energy across the world. Because the way we're educating people today is really tying everyone down. So the other thing is just to look at education differently. The fact of, I think an interesting survey that I saw in the States was that 600 professionals were asked, what is the main learning tool that you use? And they said Twitter. Because they have an area of interest and they want to keep track with it, so they put it on Twitter. Now, how does a college think about Twitter being their leading competitor? It's a different world. It really is. But it's a different world of great opportunity. And one of the elements that's happening here is the fact that the crowd is contributing to the quality. And this is what's really exciting, is that the quality is actually very good. Lots of people complained about Wikipedia when it started, but actually I bet most people in this room use Wikipedia quite regularly. Yes, it has some issues, we're aware of it, but on the whole, it's phenomenal. Same thing as TripAdvisor. Again, crowd control. But there's not a hotel in the world that's not afraid of what's written about it in TripAdvisor. Same as Apple. It puts up applications online. For the first time you put up an app, yes, they test you big time. But afterwards, when you have a reputation, they let you put up the apps until somebody says there's something wrong with something. But that allows scale. It allows rapidity of learning. And the crowd, us, and the world can make education much more free. So a couple of slides just to finish up is just to tell you a little bit more about ALISON. So we have over 2 million people online with 300,000 graduates. Which is very exciting is that we're signing up nearly 200,000 people a month. It took us 5 years to get to our first million learners. It took us 1 year to get to our second million. We have 500 free courses, going on 600 at the moment. And we've provided 100 million free lessons of learning around the world. So my final slide is my challenge to you, is essentially there's only 2 billion people on the web. There's 7 billion people in the world. There's 5 billion people to get on the web. How are we going to educate them? Are we really going to rely on the old systems that we have all been worked on, that we've all worked on, that we're all in some ways bought into? Are we going to adopt the opportunity that's given to us by technology and being inventive about the methodologies as how we use it? Because I think if we embrace the opportunity, we can change the world of education. And I do think we can change the world. Thank you.